All right, Move Better Project, Run Better Project, episode 2, posture. What does it mean to have good posture when you're running? What does it mean to have good posture when you're doing anything? We're going to try to answer both questions with this video. I'm going to break this down into 4 parts, and I'm going to back up so that you can see my whole body. Starts with the feet. We're going to zoom in and talk really about what good foot posture is, how to have springs instead of hooves. That's going to be our rallying cry there. The hips, we're going to talk about creating hip extension and using your butt for good rather than evil. The core, or midline, or midsection, or abs, or lower back, whatever you want to call this part of the body right here, we want to talk about using that as a stable transmission. Not extending, not flexing. We want to be right in the middle, braced, neutral, good posture through there. And then everything up top, and this is where I'm going to lump a bunch of different stuff in together and just call it kind of the top. Shoulder blades, arms, upper back, thoracic spine, neck, cervical spine, and head position, all that's going to be kind of lumped into one part. So let's break it down, and we're going to start from the ground up with the feet. All right, good posture starts with the feet. Well, it can really start anywhere, but I'm starting with the feet, and this is my video series, so hey, here we go. What does it mean to have a good foot posture? Well, what we want to see is a good arch, and really I think about 3 points of contact. I think about the heel, I think about the big toe, and I think about the pinky toe. There's much more to good foot contact than that, but that's a really simple way to think about it. My heel, my pinky toe, my big toe are all on the ground, and I'm not just standing through my foot. So I'm going to stand up so that you're just able to see my foot when I'm in an actual weight-bearing position. Because I don't want to just stand here and not really use my foot at all. What happens then is I'm going to dump out into this position. Running stores and people who want to sell shoes and arch supports will call that pronation. I mean, that is what it is. There's nothing wrong with calling it that. But I think about it as just the arch collapsing. This bone right here is my navicular bone, and that's just going to collapse downward. And this is what, if you walk around with really a keen eye for that, and you're looking for that in people, what you will see is so much of the population just dumps their foot out. Every step they take when they're walking around, just boom, just dumps it out. And what that does is it turns your foot from this beautiful spring that you've evolved to have that can collect energy in the up and down dimension and transmit it into the forward dimension. It stores energy and releases it. It allows you to cushion the impact of running throughout all the joints in your feet, up through your ankle, knee, hip. And if I turn that into a hoof and I just flatten it out, it's all of a sudden not able to do that transmission efficiently, and it causes issues upstream too. That's one of the main things associated with Achilles tendinopathy, is that foot dumps out, and that can be due to things happening upstream too, and then it whips that Achilles tendon across, creates this bowstring movement. So what we want with good foot posture is heel, pinky toe, big toe are all on the ground, and if I have 2 feet, they're pointing in the same direction. And then I'm not dumping out, I'm gripping the ground actively. I'm not doing like a 10 out of 10 effort like this, like really working hard getting a cramp in the bottom of my foot. I'm doing like a 2 out of 10 effort. A little bit of grip there, and a lot of this is coming from my hips, because if I squeeze my butt, if I put my feet together, this is a great test I've done with a million different people, and I say squeeze your butt, boom, you have an arch. You don't have a flat foot from the structure of your feet. Your feet are flat because you're not using your hip muscles to create external rotation up the chain. All right, so now we've got the feet down, now we're going to move up to the hips. This is, I can't tell you how many times I have turned sideways in the clinic and shown my butt to my patients. What I want to see with posture, whether we're running or just standing, is a neutral hip, or pelvis rather. So my pelvis, if I'm not paying attention, most people have this little bit of anterior tilt, which creates a hyperextension. That's problematic enough in just day-to-day life, but it's really problematic if we're all of a sudden going to go for a run, and I'm dumped out here, and I'm bounce, 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 bounce. My vertebrae are going to just hammer into each other at end range extension, and it creates a lot of problems. So hip extension comes from a neutral pelvis, which from your resting position is probably going to be a posterior pelvic tilt. Simplest way to do this is have your feet in a good position like we just talked about, and then squeeze your butt. That's going to be a little bit overkill if I squeeze my butt as tight as I can. So what I want to be able to do is find that neutral pelvis where my back is not overextended, it's in a neutral position. My glutes are on a little bit. They're not at 10 out of 10. Again, they're more like 2 out of 10. But they're on, and my hip is extended here. When my pelvis tilts forward, what that creates is a little angle here, and my hips are actually flexed. So we want hip extension, neutral pelvis. That's part 2. All right, now let's talk part 3, which is the core. So I'm down here on the floor because I want to use a couple of gymnastics exercises to demonstrate a little bit about what a brace neutral position is. And it's going to be between the two extremes, the two fundamental positions. Hollow position, arch position, those are our two kind of flexion, global brace flexion, global brace extension positions. And then for running, we want to kind of do both of those at the same time and end up right in the middle in the position, which is a brace neutral. So, hollow position, I've done videos on this before. You can look up those. Well, I'll probably share them on this page too. The hollow position is this brace flexion position. It's much harder than it looks. My lower back is really the only thing in contact with the ground. I can rock back and forth and you can see it's just my lower back that really is touching. That position, I'm bracing, closing down the distance between my pubic bone here and my xiphoid process there at the bottom of my ribs. The arch position is the opposite. This one, we go face down. And I'm going to get into a brace position here. Running out of space with this dog here. And I'm going to squeeze my butt, belly's tight, and I'm going to lift up. So now I'm closing down the distance here between kind of my L5S1 area and the bottom of my rib cage. So I'm extending through here, but I'm not dumping out into an open extension. I'm braced extension, tying my entire body together in one piece. If we have the hollow position and we have the arch position, we can engage muscles on the back of the body and on the front of the body to create stability. What we want to do is not be in one of those extremes though while we're running. We want to be right in the middle, and that's a brace neutral position. So we're going to go back up to standing and talk about that, and then we'll talk about the last piece, which is the upper body. So to finish that discussion about the core, if I'm standing, and you can see my whole body when I'm back here, a hollow position in standing would look like this. My pelvis is tucked under, I'm posterior tilted, I'm really braced here, and I'm totally braced in flexion, I'm resisting extension. An arch position would look like this, where my hips are all the way extended, I'm still in kind of that more posterior tilt or neutral. My abs are working here to keep me from overextending, but I'm really resisting flexion. When we run, or when we stand, when we do really anything, we want to be right in the middle. So I don't want to be in a hollow position, I don't want to be in an arch position, I want to be right in the middle. My hips are extended, my feet are active on the ground, and then I'm tight in here. Again, we don't want 10 out of 10. You can't maintain that when you're running. If I'm totally braced like this, I'm not going to be able to run very far before I wear out. I once took a sprinting class with a guy who had been a running back at USC, and he was an expert on being explosive. And one of the things he told me, I remember I was a lot younger then, was you look like you're trying to break a tackle when you run. Like I was so braced and tightened down and trying to maintain a good position. That's not what we want. We don't want flopping around and just nothing's working together. But we want to be tied together but not working as hard as we can. So if this here, squeeze the butt, pelvis tight, if this is a 10 out of 10 and I'm braced, I can take the hardest punch in the world, I want to be 2 out of 10. Maybe I can take a little slap on the belly without too much pain, but I'm not super tight. So feet are active on the ground. We talked about that. Heel, pinky toe, big toe. Create an active arch, grab the ground. Butt is on, hips are extended, pelvis is neutral. Lower back has a little bit of curve to it, but it's not overextended and we're not totally flat or even flexed. My core is braced, I'm not in the hollow position, I'm not in the arch position, I'm in the middle, but I'm maintaining that stability. My upper body position, just to kind of put all of these things really in one picture, it's going to be shoulders are back and down, arms are externally rotated. From this angle, it looks like this. I'm opening up, I'm expanding from here to here, extending my thoracic spine, resisting that tendency to go down into a curled position. I don't want to be dumped out like this and have a forward head posture. I want to expand, open that up. My chin is tucked, so that means it's back and that my cervical spine is basically flat. My arms are going to be at my sides. They're not going to be out here. I'm not going to do something weird with them. I'm just going to have them in this position, kind of like I'm on a holding jetpack. I'm in my anatomical position, and then I flex my elbows, and then they're just going to rotate forward and backward while I run. So putting it all together, feet are active on the ground, glutes are on, hips are extended, pelvis is neutral, core is on, we're not flexed, we're not extended, we're right in the middle, brace neutral, shoulders are back and down, arms are at my sides, head is back, chin is tucked. And that, now I'm tied together. My whole body is in a brace neutral position, my feet are active on the ground. Now, all I have to do is fall. And that's going to be our next video. See you then.